Hey, a lot of people have been finding an issue with their PS5 brand new out of the box. A lot of people have been complaining about sounds, noises, excessive humming, excessive vibrations, and I think I may have solved this problem. Keep watching to find out how. Here we go!
Let that be a lesson! Just don't do it again! Cool!
You hear that?
We'll leave before the DNY gets here. We're not the biggest fan fans.
Is it the game? The buzzing? Humming? Is it the console? I found this one on Reddit, how to reduce rattling and vibrations. So at this point I thought, I better do some research online. So I went to YouTube, and this is what I found.
No sound, nothing. It is dead quiet. So there it is, guys. The PS5 is insanely quiet. This thing is magic.
I guess it's the fan that's causing these sounds.
What does he say to do? Stop it.
Let me show you. How to stop the vibrations from your PS5 fan. Turn off the PS5. Fully power off. And then you're good to unplug the power. Pull out the PS5, disconnect the cables. We're gonna open up the PS5. You don't want the side with the symbol. You want the one that's opposite this side here. To take off the side panel, it's pretty easy. Now, we've got the internal of the PS5. Here is the disk drive. Here is the part where we're going to be installing later on. We're going to be installing an additional SSD for more storage. But for today, this is what we're dealing with here, which is the fan. This is what's creating the noise, supposedly. So what I saw on Reddit said that the case of the fan vibrating on the internals is what's creating a lot of the noise. So that's what we're going to be working with today. Now, you don't want to, like, for example, right now I'm sitting on top of a carpet and a couch, so I could be statically charged. So what I did is I grounded myself to make sure that I don't send any static electricity into the console. So what this Reddit user did to get rid of the vibrations from the fan to the PS5 case is they took off the screws, and in between the case and the fan they put O-rings, rubber O-rings. So I got a case here from the hardware store, and that's what we're gonna do today. So this guy's open. What we need to take these screws out, because they're not just any old Phillips screws or anything like that. They are a security Torx. They're a T8H is what my bit is named in here, a T8H, which is a Torx 8 security bit. So I grabbed that guy, grabbed the little screwdriver, put them together, and before I start taking out these screws, I gotta take out this little vent fin thing here, and it's just a simple pry in the center. So now I've got my T8H Torx security bit, size 8, and that's the driver that I'm going to use to take out these 4 screws. Here we go. Try to remember which screw went where. It is pretty easy and obvious, but The first time I took this apart, I couldn't figure it out immediately. So the little guy is at this corner over here, kind of close to where the SSD will go, or the front of the console, this little guy here. And then whenever you're putting together or taking apart two surfaces, fasteners from two surfaces, you go opposite from the first one. So we're going back here.
Tips of the trade.
Something I actually learned from work that I could use here. This guy here is a machine screw. I'm gonna put that over here. I'm gonna go over here now. Notice that these two screws are the same. So if you were looking at this, if you were imagining that the console was standing up, the bottom two screws are the same. So that's those guys. And now I'm gonna do the last one over here. And this guy is a long one. So if you notice, the top two are self-cutting thread screws. So what these are going to is all plastic. On the bottom here, underneath the plastic, it's actually going into metal. That's why they're machine screw threads. So the top two here, plastic ones. So I got these guys here. I need to find a little case. Perfect. So taking this apart, it's actually two pieces. So here's just a little protector, which includes one part here to protect the wire. And all the screws are out. We've got the fan here, ready to come out. Wow. Now, one thing I did find online is some people are having a different issue with their fan. So a couple users actually pulled out their fans the same way I'm doing, but they found something a little bit sticky inside there. On the very top here, I'm going to circle it, they found an actual sticker or a label sticking out into where the direction of the fan would be. So the fan's spinning and hitting this label, and so they've got a much different sound than I do, but that is a possible situation that someone else may face as well. So I'm just putting a little picture here of Frank on Twitter showing exactly what his label looked like and what to remove. So that's a possible fix for some of you as well. The areas we're putting O-rings are going to be right here, anywhere that the metal surface of the fan would be touching anything else. So I'm gonna pull this guy out here. I have access to all the areas where the metal of the fan is touching. So I'm gonna get my O-rings here, and there's actually, for the size that we need, the Reddit user said it was something like a 1/4 inch or 6 millimeter outside diameter for the O-ring, and it was hard to find that, so I actually had to get 4 packs of assorted O-rings to get a good amount for this. So I'm gonna open the first one for now and grab the smallest guy. So these two are different sizes. I'm gonna use the absolute smallest one for now. Make sure I don't drop any extra O-rings into the PS5. That could go badly. So I wanna take the smallest one and use that around the screw holes. Okay, I do have one that's a bit bigger, and I'm actually gonna try to use that. I'm gonna use that in between this metal and the other metal shroud that goes above the fan. So I'm gonna use a bunch of O-rings here just to decrease the possible chances of vibrations. So that's that. I'm gonna open a few of these packages to get all the smallest O-rings out. So I've got one there. I'm gonna put another one here, another one here, and the last one right there. I'm wondering if I should put any O-rings around these little guide pegs as well, but I don't want anything that sticks out too far into the open space because it might get pegged by the fan, and I don't want that. So for now, I'm gonna leave those 4 there. If you find a way to use some extra small ones that you can get around the screw hole and the pegs, it wouldn't hurt. Go ahead if you can do that. For right now, I'm gonna put the fan back. Notice on the fan that there's a round guide hole here and a slotted guide hole here. You really can't screw this up because you know the cable for the fan is right here. The connector goes here. So just make sure the O-rings are still in place. Good. I'm gonna put this down. And we're good. So now it's not gonna go down as deep as it did before these O-rings were there, obviously because there's something in the way now, which is okay. So now what I wanna do is I'm gonna put this guy down, but first, notice on this one specifically, it has a bit of a raise on the side here, and that's gonna be for the wire for the fan. So now I was thinking I should probably add some O-rings in here as well. Now, be careful with this. You're gonna need to pay attention to see if when you add these, maybe these screws are actually gonna be too short now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add these in and then tighten it down as a test and see if I think the screw is holding it in securely or not. And I try to put it down without moving the O-rings around too much. And then I gotta grab my screws. So remember, these two machine screws with the very fine threads, the very small thin threads, they are at the bottom of the console. If you're looking at this standing up, these two are the bottom. The one with the wire and the one closest to where the SSD goes. So these two are the thin. So this is where they're gonna go. The first one here, second one here. And then the other two screws, the frontmost top corner is gonna get the smallest coarse thread screw, the shortest one. And then the top back corner is gonna get the longest coarse thread screw. So I'm gonna put that in there. If I put them all in just by hand first without using the screwdriver for any of them, then you've got a better chance of getting them into the threads without cross-threading anything. If you were to say start tightening one down all the way before putting the other three in, it might misalign everything. It may pull the fan towards that corner more and make it hard for you to get these screws in. So put them all in by hand first. See if you can turn them a little bit just by hand before using a screwdriver to tighten down all the way. They're small screws, so you probably only be able to get a few turns in on each screw. And now I'm going to tighten it down with the same T8 security driver tool. So I want the O-ring to be in the center, so the actual metal plate is touching a lot of the O-ring if possible. Alright, so I'm going to start tightening one down, and I don't tighten one down all the way before going over to the other side and tightening that one down more. Same thing, I go to another corner, tighten that one down. Now I noticed that this one, when I tightened it down, the O-ring actually came out a lot over here. So I'm going to loosen it up, try to stick the O-ring in a little bit more, tighten it down. At least it's grabbing a little bit more. Put the O-ring more in the center here, tighten this one down a bit. Now I'm going to start tightening them down all the way. And I don't want to crush them too much. Just tighten them down so they are secure. But remember, you've taken up a bunch of space with these O-rings, and I put 2 O-rings for each screw. So now that brings the screw up higher. So now I've brought the screw up higher than it was before, so I'm taking away some of the grip of the screw. So there's a chance that the fan isn't sitting as far down as it was before. So I'm going to try to screw these down or tighten down the screws as much as possible right now to get it in as close to the original placement as possible. I'm doing one final tightening around the world just to make sure I hit every screw. Now when you're tightening a fastener, when you're mating 2 surfaces together, you definitely want to go across so that you distribute torque evenly across the surface. And now after doing that, I'm just going around, checking every one. They all feel good. I think it's secure. Give it a little lift. Everything looks good. And gotta stick this guy back in, one side, other side, and then push it down. Snaps in, just like that. And last, put the side panel back on the PS5. And there it is, all back to ignore that. All back together, everything's great. Turn it back on. Much quieter. I'm gonna put the microphone just beside the PlayStation 5. So right now I just started a brand new game in Gran Turismo Sport. First time that I'm playing, so it's still downloading updates and everything. And starting a race and not a single sound from the PS5. It's a lot quieter than it was before. Big win. All you hear is the clicking of the buttons on the controller.
Is it even on?
And it's pretty much silent as compared to before. It used to be a lot louder when running a disc-based game. And there you have it. A lot quieter than before. A lot quieter. And that's it for the video showing you how to reduce the fan noise on your PS5. So if you learned something, hit that like button. If you didn't learn a damn thing, hit the dislike button twice. Double tap it. If you're new here, let's be best friends. Hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next one. I am working on a video for the Xbox Series X as well. Maybe one where you get to see some nice green lights coming out of the top of it. Is Microsoft listening? Thank you and good. The camera battery died right before I could say goodnight, so if you're watching this at night, good night. During the day, good day. Morning, good morning. Either way, peace and love, be a pal, and bye. On one of these corners. Remember how I said it was very easy?
So easy. Where's our easy button?
I'm just afraid to break something too. Very easy.